So I'm on a roof because today we're going to be talking about roofing and choosing the right roof for your remodel or your building project. I'm going to go ahead and say it up front that if I were building a house for myself, for the performance and the cost, I would choose architectural shingles on my own house. So in this video, we're going to do a little comparison of the two most common types of roofing in residential. That's shingles versus metal. So there's two common types of metal roofs: ribbed with exposed fasteners called 5V or ag panel, and another type with hidden fasteners called standing seam, which is also used in commercial applications pretty commonly. Of these two types, the standing seam is far superior and far more expensive, sometimes double to triple the cost. It attaches to the roof with thin clips that are covered by the next row of metal, and these clips also allow the pieces of metal to slide freely a small amount, and this allows the metal to expand and contract with heat without damaging the fastener or the roofing. On the other hand, screw-down type metals do not have this play in the fasteners and can sometimes work the screws out or even break them from the pressures of expansion and contraction against them. And I've actually seen screws completely turned out of a roof due to this expansion and contraction of the metal pushing against them, and sometimes dozens of them push completely out of the roof. So this is a real thing, by the way. Another issue that I've seen with the exposed fasteners, that in order for the fastener to seal the penetration through the metal, they use a rubber gasket. These get dry rotted and cracked and should really be replaced every 10 years or so. For all these reasons, I'm not a huge fan of the type with the exposed fasteners, and I would recommend that you use ice and water shield under it, especially if it's on a low pitch. So if you want metal and you could afford it, I would recommend the standing seam, but it is quite a bit more expensive. So there's a couple other issues that I've seen with metal roofs that I want to talk about for just a second as well. One is that metal roofs are very slick, especially when they get a little dust or pollen on them. And for that reason, it is very dangerous to get up on a metal roof. If you have to clean your gutters or anything like that, I would not walk on a metal roof unless it was a very, very low pitch. And secondly, since it is slick, snow tends to slide down these metal roofs as it melts and can sometimes rip the gutters right off your house if you don't have a snow break installed on your metal roof. And this actually happened to a house of mine that I lived in once, and big snow melted down, ripped my gutters off. Boom. And one last note about metal roofing is there is somewhat of a debate between the roofers I use anyway of whether metal should be screwed down directly to the plywood layer of your roof or whether it should be spaced up 3/4 of an inch on pine strips, leaving an air gap between the bottom of the metal and the top of your underlayment. So that's a debate that I've heard roofers we use go both ways. I'm not really sure what's best, but I'd love to hear your comments on that. So next we're going to look at shingles, and there's two common types of shingles as well. There's a 3-tab shingle, which is a less expensive single layer and a more traditional looking shingle. And then there's architectural shingles, which this is what I'm sitting on here, that have a double layer to give them a 3D effect, and they don't have any tabs. They're one solid piece. Shingles are a great option unless you live in a very high wind zone. And they cost roughly 1/3 less than metal with exposed fasteners. If they're installed correctly, they can give you a great performing roof. The most important thing with installing them correctly is that the nails are not overdriven and that they are installed in the nailing area of the shingle where it is the thickest and it overlaps the previous row of shingles. I highly recommend Atlas Pinnacle shingles to our clients because they have an extra wide nailing area so it's easier to hit. Shingles do not work great on low pitch roofs, and that's because wind-driven rain can actually blow up under the shingles and get down through the nail holes. You can use shingles on a low pitch, but again, you would want to use ice and water shield underneath the shingles, and this would seal up the penetrations of the nails. I also recommend that you use ice and water shield around the eaves, the overhangs, on shingles, because water that comes down your roof melting can refreeze on your overhangs and create a dam that would cause water to pond, and then again the water would back up under the shingles and get under your roof. Thanks for watching my video. I hope it's helped you make a decision between metal or shingles and the different kinds of those on your project.